Okay, let's all talk about this Atletico Madrid side, because last year, after that Julián Alvarez miss-hit in the penalty, it changed the narrative for this club last season. I mean, they went to losing the Champions League, they went to go losing the Copa del Rey, and then their La Liga run kind of fell off. How much of a narrative shifter was that, Stefano? And I know we like to talk about if, buts and maybes, but if that didn't happen, things could have been different, and the El Pupas title maybe could have been proven wrong.
Maybe. I mean, I still don't think they had enough quality to truly get that across the line in the Champions League last season, as well as in La Liga. It's a team that has tried to spend these last couple of seasons, something that historically Atletico Madrid has not done under Diego Simeone. And yeah, that moment with Julián Alvarez and the penalty, of course we're going to talk about that moment, something we don't really see that often, a double hit on a PK. They have changed the rule since because of that double hit on that penalty kick for Julián Alvarez. I don't think that they had enough to truly compete on any of those fronts for a title last season.
Yeah, I see it differently. I think this was a defining moment for their season because they were more in the title race in terms of momentum than Madrid was at this moment. If you're going up against Barcelona, I had them to be my team to win La Liga, to knock Barcelona in that title race perch. Madrid were a dumpster fire, and Marcos Llorente, and I go by what players say, and we can only go by what's said on the pitch. Marcos Llorente, in that match against Barcelona, the very next match, 4 days later, they were up 2-0, Stefano. 2-0, and they flatlined. And after the match, they asked Llorente, what happened? And he said, we're resilient footballers. This is what we're made to do under Cholo. But that match against Madrid, it was playing on our minds. The players saying it themselves. And if you look at what happened after that first leg, they were up a goal against Espanyol and flatlined yet again. And so their season just derailed. You can control certain things on the football pitch. You can't control the scheduling. And certain players for a big club like Atleti, after that Madrid match, they were ghosts. Antoine Griezmann wasn't the same player. Rodrigo De Paul, who was outstanding last season.
Was that because of the penalty? Player. Because of the double hit penalty? Is that why it all happened?
I think it's everything that came along with the penalty.
Yeah, the controversy, the emotion. As a player, yes, you only remember your last game. You put it out of your mind. You're supposed to have short-term memory. But that is a rival. It's a rival. It's a Madrid derby in the Champions League. It's a group that felt robbed. It's an emotional manager. It's an emotional group to begin with. And results don't lie. After that, they weren't the same team. They couldn't get over the line in terms of getting goals late, getting results they needed, and it was almost as if they did this with the rest of the season.
My pushback there would be, I'm not sure that was a sustainable model, and it's like, oh, the goals dried up in the 92nd minute. Well, was that because of the penalty, or is that because it's a statistical anomaly, and that's going to happen, it's going to even out? So I think it's more of the anomaly side of things and not something that was repeatable. I just don't think that this team was a top Simeone Atletico Madrid team last season. While Julián Alvarez had made that team much, much better, he is a special player. They have... I just don't think that it was that simple. I think it had more to do with underlying numbers, with the late goals not coming more, and Barcelona are just a better team than them.
Yeah, for example, I don't think that they would have had any chance at finishing above Barcelona.
So wait, I'm going to go back to result. They beat Barcelona.
I'm aware, but they dropped so many points. They
handled the business. Up until that point, they were cooking. They were cooking. And then they had that one game, and the rest of their season spirals out of control. How can you not say that is not the point where everything unraveled?
They had like 8 of their hardest fixtures in a row in there. Right. Again, it has to do, I think, with the formula of how the season is unfolding. Then, like, oh, because they beat Elche or whoever, and things were piling up. They faced their hardest run of the season right there, and they failed test after test after test during that period.
Well, look, guys, it's all good looking at last season. It's come and gone, so let's just leave that there. But this season, I mean, they've had a huge summer yet again. This is the second summer in a row now where they've gone and spent loads. What are you thinking of this Atletico Madrid side? I mean, look, highest spending teams, they sit there 7th, 428 million. It's crazy to believe that. I mean, Chelsea are 300 million above them, but still, it's a huge, huge number.
But yeah, the team that spent the most in Spain, right, in La Liga. Barcelona wishes they could spend that money, but they got their own issues, and they're pulling all those levers, and we know how that goes. But look, I still think that this team, it's still kind of up in the air what this team will be. It has not been a good start to the season for Atletico Madrid. They just got their first win of the season this past weekend after 2 losses and a draw as well. So it is a tough start for them. I do think that there will be some time where they will come good and have the players that will be ready. Injuries play a big part. Julián Alvarez not being available for this match against Liverpool tomorrow, I think is a big loss because he scored goals there. He's played there before when he was with Manchester City. So I do think it'll be difficult for them in this game, but I do think that eventually they will come good.
Yeah, it's going to have to be new signings and some of the old players who have been part of the fulcrum. And as we see the projected lineups, Nico Gonzalez was excellent in that match against Villarreal. I think he's going to really come good, unlike he did at Juventus.
Right.
He brings a directness, and it's unfortunate that Julián Alvarez got injured going into this Champions League match because him and Julián, they had this sense of telepathy about them. And I think he's the sort of player that if you're Antoine Griezmann, it creates space because of his quality on the ball, because of his work rate off the ball and his movement in behind. The midfield is where I have question marks over Atleti. They have failed to replace Rodrigo de Paul adequately. Sometimes in football, you don't realize how important a certain player is till they're gone. Rodrigo de Paul was a big reason why they started the season really well, was a key reason why, we go down memory lane, they beat Barcelona in La Liga, and when he stopped showing up for Atleti, the season really went by the wayside. But that midfield three, if there's any player that needs to step up, Koke is the one.
Right.
They did add Johnny Cardoso, U.S. national team midfielder. He has looked much better for club than country. He has been one of the best defensive midfielders in La Liga since he joined Betis, pretty much from day one. And now he's at Atletico Madrid. I think he's a perfect Diego Simeone player. So they are big boots to fill, no doubt, and we'll have to see him prove it there. But they do have a player in waiting there. And I was looking at that projected 11, and yes, there is no Julián Alvarez because he's injured. But looking at that projected 11, how many of those players get into Barcelona, Madrid, Liverpool, City, whoever? You name the other air quote giants in this competition. Atletico Madrid are not at that level. They are not among the favorites. They're not in that like pot one group of teams in terms of the way that we're going to break this down in the hierarchy. They just don't have that level of talent as other teams, irrespective if they've spent more money on transfer fees than anybody outside of England this summer.
Yeah, well, we're looking at some of the injuries, and I know some players you're familiar with. We have to keep that in mind in terms of context, right? Alex Baena he's a good player. He's one of the best assist getters in La Liga over the past 2 seasons. Julián Alvarez, when he comes back, is an outstanding forward. And then, of course, you have Thiago Almada, who's been cooking for the national team.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And we mentioned Johnny Cardoso. He's out for this game. And that's why you're seeing Koke in the starting lineup, right? I mean, yes, he's been a rotation, but Johnny Cardoso's been the better player at that position. That's who you want there. And the U.S. men's national team player, he is now out from that game as well. That's why I do believe that this team will come good as the season progresses and they get their guys healthy and they understand Diego Simeone's tactics. But early on and in this Champions League match to start at Anfield is a very tough with all these injuries.